Roll dice, be nice, and stay tuned. This is the Live to Die podcast.
I have something I would like to talk about at the beginning of this episode.
Well, it is the beginning. Talk away.
So I just recently got the chance to meet and chat with someone who a few people here are friends with, Jason's best friend, Ryan, who's someone that I've heard a lot about but hadn't ever met before. And when I met him, I felt it was so nice because I was like, finally, someone in this group of people who appreciates my character. Because...
That part is, what's the word? Balderdash?
Balderdash.
But continue.
Good word, by the way. Anyway.
But you're saying that Ryan doesn't like her character?
That we love your character.
Yeah.
Literally, when I see Jason now, just to hang out outside of this, he's like, what the fuck is your character doing? I don't trust your character at all. He's asking other people, do you trust Jane's character?
It happened one time.
No, we talk about it every week on the drive. So.
All right, that's true.
Anyway, so in talking to Ryan, he was like, hey, I actually really like your character. And he also said that he particularly likes it when I'm getting actually real life mad at James, which was very validating.
You get mad at everything in this game.
It's true. Anyway, he was like, I don't think that you have that bad of dice luck. I think that you just have to roll more die rolls and announce them than the other players, because like Jason can roll a 5 and still hit with his character build, but I can't. And I also have this stratagem thing where I'm rolling all the time. He's like, I'm pretty sure if we sat you down and just averaged those out, it wouldn't be a thing. Discuss.
That's possible, but I refuse to budge from my prior belief.
When we started this conversation last night, she said, Trent is going to say maybe, but I don't think so.
I literally did.
I'm pretty sure that you just have shit dice luck.
This was really more of an experiment on Trent's psychology, actually, because I told Jason last night, I was like, we're going to present a very well-rounded argument, and Trent is going to be like, no.
It's probable, I'll say. You probably are having to roll more, but I don't think it changes the fact that were you to roll the amount that we are, you would still roll like crap.
Or you have a poorly made character.
Okay.
One of those two.
Ouch.
See, Ryan, you're the only one who appreciates me.
I appreciate you.
Can I give my theory?
Sure.
So I will say when you roll a D20, you typically use your D20 here on the table. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you're using the app on your phone. Uh-huh. And inherently, an app is just using a random number generator to determine what your roll is. So you're probably just like in a feedback loop of bad numbers. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to use the actual die more rather than like the app.
There was a friend of the cast the other night that was highly encouraging Jane to use a physical die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I regret bringing this up.
For the emotion tied to the physical die, I think, is different too.
That's true.
If you roll, like, I think Ryan brought this up last night too. If you roll a 1 on the digital dice roller, that actually feels worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas if you roll a 1, it's like, oh man, that's the dice though.
Mm-hmm. I will say for our listeners, which is 100% of our audience except for the cast, I do also enjoy when you roll physical dice because you shoot them like you're rolling craps.
Yeah, it's true.
Shut them across the other side of the table.
I'm a high energy person.
Yeah, it's great for the podcast.
Jared, how do you feel when you stub your toe? Does that, because I just feel like you are the most even keel person I have ever met.
It's all internal. It's all internal. Even the anger is internal.
I stub my toe and I'm like flipping tables. I'm so mad.
At least you're consistent in that, though. I've realized that I am one of the many things that I hate about myself. Like I wake up each morning and I do daily negative affirmations.
Okay, let's cut that.
Negative affirmations.
Okay, there's no way that's true, first of all.
I've realized I vocalize when I stub my toe, but only when there's other people around. And when it's just me, then it's internal. And I feel like that's Just so
You have
embarrassing.
some attention-seeking behavior.
That's
Yeah.
like performative pain.
I know. I was like, I realized that the other day, and I was like, I don't love that about myself.
That's so
Well, we love you, James.
specific.
Oh, thanks.
You can stub your toe in front of us. We'll care.
Oh,
Yeah.
We
When
will
I
care.
stub my toe, whether I am alone or with a crowd of people, I'm just like filled with so much anger that there's no one to blame but myself. I'm like, like I hate it.
I blame the God that I don't believe in. I look up at him and is like, like he did it.
So I want to go back to that because I think that's a really interesting, like, sort of visual. And I think that it actually goes really well to our characters here to sort of be down at the bottom of this sort of dance floor, looking up at the clock face that this whole party had been slowly ticking towards midnight. And now, after midnight, closer to 1 a.m., it has just cracked and exploded out into the ballroom. And this gargantuan, I'm going to use a word here that it might have it might be pushing the envelope of podcasting a little bit. This fleshy worm.
Ew.
Yeah, it's a strong word for a strong creature. This thing slithers out, and it should be like a small, disgusting sound. But think you're watching like a Michael Bay film or something with Jurassic Park. Like there is so much noise that it's just overwhelming as this creature comes out of the clock face and works its way down to the floor.
There's like lens flare for no reason.
It's J.J. Abrams, right?
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it works its way down, boom, and you can feel what's left of this monastery. Because remember, there's been a lot that's gone on here. It's cracked. There's been explosions. Watson dropped a meteor storm
Yeah, 4 meteors.
yeah.
Yes.
through the roof of this building.
And that's not even accounting for the time that we all died earlier tonight.
Yeah.
You didn't die. You were just dying.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a process. And this
Worst
worm
party ever.
has worked its way down into the room. Real quick check-in, like, how's everyone doing on... You don't have to give me a number. If you want to give me an emotional reaction, flip a table or whatnot. How you doing on hit points?
Pretty good.
Droshar's doing great.
Turns out I'm all right.
Pretty low.
Okay.
I'm below half.
Yeah, you feel ready to take on another fight?
Nope.
What about Val?
To quote our GM's phrase repertoire, it's suboptimal.
Suboptimal. I would agree with that.
Thank you. All right, so here's what I'd like everyone to do. Go ahead and roll initiative for me.
Oh, my God.
As this worm starts crawling down into the ballroom of the gardener's monastery. Jane is proudly pointing. What's going on here, Jane?
No, it's not proudly
No, it's not
pointing.
proud.
It's not. I'm pointing because Trent was like, use a real die. And I did, and it's bad.
You can use the one he gave you.
Why would you use the one that I gave you? That
Jane,
doesn't
what
make
is
any sense.
what did you roll?
I don't want to talk about it. Can we just
It's not.
not do that right away?
Can we not say, hey, Jane, and then push the button over talking?
She paused. I thought she was going to let it play out. All right.
Oh my god.
What did you roll?
Yeah, what'd you roll?
A 3. It was a 3.
What's your total?
29.
The next one's going to be higher.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. That's really positive.
Who's got higher than a 29?
I do.
All right, Jason, what do you have?
I have a 36.
36.
Same,
Okay.
Same.
I'm going to guess Watson has a higher bonus to perception.
27?
No, that's your bonus.
I have a +2 for Battlefield Surveyor, so I get a +2 and
So
a
what's
roll
your
in
total?
perception for initiative.
So you two tied. Who has the higher bonus?
Yeah.
He's 27.
I have a 25, but I have Battlefield.
So it's a
Surveyor,
tie
so-
again. I'm putting Watson first. I just decided. All right, Fox,
Wow,
what do
he
you
likes Trent more than he likes
Real
Jason. I think
judge.
that's what that means.
33.
have? 33. Okay.
Starting off on a rough note.
Tensions are high today.
Much like the stakes at this table,
Ooh.
the worm slithers down the wall, works its way over, and then sort of rears up. Almost imagine like the curvature of a swan's neck as the sort of open maw of this worm looks down at the guillotine, Silent Lenore, from which came that giant hulking like amalgamation of dead souls. And you see it look, and all of you can like feel a pressure building in your head as it just seems to be focusing its attention on the guillotine until you see it just start to warp. And you see it bucking, like lights coming out of the guillotine. You see light trying to run up into the ceiling. You can see bits of light running up towards the hole in the ceiling where all of you went earlier, but the light is not connecting.
Yes.
It's sort of faltering out, but the whole guillotine is bucking and moving, and that's its turn. Watson, it's your turn.
Oh no, it's trying to pull things out of the anyway.
You know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask everyone, like, how you feeling going into this fight if you were looking up rules? I couldn't tell you were scrolling.
No, I'm looking through what I have remaining
Sure.
After this horrible fight.
Worst party ever.
I think Watson, right off the bat, is going to cast Earthquake
Okay.
at 8th level. And
Sure, do I get a save? Is it a reflex save or something like
let me
that?
check. Yeah, DC 39.
Drosharis is on deck. DC 39?
Correct.
No problem. Success.
It's still half damage for collapse, which collapse is probably a good idea.
Yeah, so part of the building can collapse. What I'll say is the foundations of this building are so strong that it doesn't seem that.
Sure.
But you've already...
It just says structures and ceilings might collapse.
I think part of the ceiling where you hit it with meteors is collapse ready.
Okay. This actually says GM rolls a flat check for each structure or ceiling. 16 for sturdy structure, 14 for an average, 9 for shoddy.
We're going to say that this is 14 now, because it was very strong. Now having been hit by a meteor, it is less strong. Failed the flat check.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing nothing happens in that case.
Probably so.
Okay, so the whole building starts shaking, though, super dramatically. You have one action left, Watson. What do you want to do with that?
I believe all of my guidances are done. Does any?
I think you blew through a lot of guidance in the last
I believe
fight.
so.
It's okay. What I'll say, look, I don't want to reveal too much. Let's just see where this goes.
Watson will spend the last action I can spend one action to aid, correct?
Correct. Who do you want to aid?
He will aid Drosharis.
What do you want to aid with? What action or skill? What thing are you doing
I
to
think
aid?
he's part of the earthquake. He's trying to get the attention of this thing, essentially.
It's almost manipulating the spell to sort of set up Drosharis' footing. So I'll allow that to be a nature check because it's your spell casting check. So when it comes time for Jason to attack, you can roll for the aid on that.
Wonderful.
All right, Dro, it's your turn. There's this, genuinely mechanically gargantuan worm in the center of the ballroom. What are you doing?
Did it drop immediately where the other one was?
It came down close. You're about 10 feet away.
Okay. So Drosharis points his sword up at it, and he's like, "Your plan did not work, worm. Prepare to die."
Okay.
And rushes up on that dude.
All right, you move up to attack. Give me an attack roll.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
How are we looking at
Teeny little Drosharis swinging up at this big boy.
46?
That is a hit.
All
Just
right.
barely.
That's all right.
Go ahead and give me a little bit of damage. You going two-hand on this? Is a one-hand swing?
Two-hand.
All right. Two-hand swing on the bastard sword. Cleaves up into this sort of pinkish purplish worm.
28.
28 points of damage. You've got one action left. Move, attack.
Intimidate.
Okay. I think you're probably going to be fine there, right?
No.
Definitely not.
That's a 1.
Okay, yep. It does not seem to even notice you. You cut into it. Fox, it's your turn.
Why do I feel like this seems like the big monster of the entire game?
Who knows?
It seems like that for sure.
Are we done? Is this it? Is it over?
Well, everybody want to go home?
Grand
If I had to
finale.
guess, what form is it? Is it a physical?
Oh, yeah. I described it as having flesh.
You
Be very
You did
specific.
say fleshy. Well, I was going to say I don't think it's actually here, but I think it is here.
There, Fox, just try something. What do you got going on?
Fox is he's been up in the hidey hole, so he's gonna come down.
Oh, that's
He's
right.
up in the
Yeah.
balcony.
Because you did your extending... Do you have a halberd? Is that what it is?
Yeah, halberd.
You were like lancing from the heavens with your
Yeah.
extending... That was so cool. I
And
still keep
then
thinking
I'm
about
gonna
that.
do that again, but I'm gonna stay in flight,
Mhm.
and get towards the door of the monastery.
Yeah, the way you all kind of came in, the big ramp leading up.
So probably we'll have to use 2 movements to get close.
Yeah, you can get close. It depends. Like, do you want to get close to it or get closer and do something?
No, I want to get close to it.
So yeah, 2 actions will get you there for sure with
and
flight.
then I'll use the... Oh no, I think it's 2.
It's 2 actions to
Okay,
to the
never mind. I'll
extendo
just
shot.
get closer and then I'll do the extended.
And make it about halfway, do the extendo shot. All of you watch once again the halberd just
Oh, that's a good roll.
extend across the room towards this giant creature.
50.
That is a hit. Wow, you're rolling really well.
I rolled a 17.
That's nice. So hits, roll a little bit of damage. Val, you're on deck.
Oof.
Yeah, you're fine. It's fine. All right.
It is a total of 29.
Okay, great. All right, Val, your turn. There's this something in front of you.
Okay. I think the last thing I did was heal Watson, so I'm going to.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to pick up my gun and dagger, reload the gun. So there's 2, and then.
So that's all 3 actions. 1 action, pick up the gun. 1 to pick up the dagger. 1 to reload.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, you could just pick up the gun, reload it, and then have a spare
just the
action.
gun then. And I think she's just gonna be like, "Whoa."
Whoa.
And that's 1 action.
Yeah. Whoa.
Well, yeah. Although I think as a gunslinger, you get a free whoa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Whoa.
free whoa. Dang,
That's a
I
cool
really
feat.
want to recall some knowledge on this thing, but I can't do that and also take a shot.
What's it going to be? Although, what are you going to do?
I think
Do you have an ability where you can recall knowledge as a free action a certain amount of times per day, even
Only-
outside of your other thing?
I don't think so. I think only
Oh,
when I
okay.
devise a stratagem against something, which is kind of irrelevant if I'm not going to take a shot in this round.
Sure.
So I think that Val is going to try to just recall knowledge.
Okay.
Try to figure out if there's any kind of like weaknesses or something she can tip the group off on.
Now, remember,
So-
that's a secret check.
I hate these.
What's your bonus? This is going to be an occultism check.
Yes.
Ooh.
Plus 26.
Okay. Let's see what you're going to get. Oh, that's actually really good.
Oh.
So that's going to come out to... You don't know what this is.
It's really
Sure,
good.
sure.
Super good, but
You know that
don't
it's
know.
gargantuan. It's clearly some kind of worm.
Maybe James is the reason.
I was gonna say.
The
Yeah.
music drop.
It could be. What I'll say is you get closer. You feel like maybe if you were to study longer, think on it later. You're kind of in the heat of the moment. This is a little stressful,
Okay.
and it's now its turn. It starts noticing all of you sort of striking at it, stabbing at it. It starts casting a spell. Jason, this will provoke an attack of opportunity, and you are within range as it begins casting a 3-action spell.
1.
Natural 1.
Whoa.
All right, you know what?
That's 2 in a row?
Yeah.
Dang.
Let's bring that critical
Jane drop.
fumble down.
Okay.
I feel like we could equally joke, there's a drop for that. All right, you know what? Let's just pull one out of here. What kind of... this is a melee attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll hit yourself instead of the worm.
Dang.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Not
Just
bad.
go ahead and roll some damage real quick. And it's going to get the spell off.
I feel
Okay.
like it's way worse to get a fumble on an attack of opportunity because it's like the GM made you do that.
No, Jason could have chosen not to attack.
True.
That's fair.
But
Yeah, why would
I'm
you
a fighter.
not?
Why would I not?
Yeah, you made the right choice. All right, you can go ahead and calculate the damage for yourself. This spell goes off. And
Joe Sharis is like,
actually, I think narratively what's going to happen is you're going to go, wah! And then I can't really describe what's happening because none of your characters see it.
What?
But I'm going to take 3 actions, and then I'm going to take 3 more actions, and then I'm going to take 3 more actions, and then all of you will get to act.
What?
The fuck?
I think I know what this is.
What's happening right now?
So what I'm going to say is you hit yourself and you start screaming, and the next thing you are conscious of, the worm is gone.
What?
And you see the guillotine in front of you shaking, and explode.
Did we
Across
pass
the
out?
room.
What happened here?
Do you want to make I can actually do this for myself here. Give me an occultism check.
Okay, do I roll it or do you?
This is-
anybody?
I'll let you do this as an open check. I'm okay with that. It should be secret, but it just feels fun. And you can do an occultism or an arcana check on this.
Oh, you can do occult or arcana?
Occult or arcana. Arcana? Don't have any strong feelings about that?
No.
That's a 36 for Val on occultism.
No, you're
Nothing?
not sure what this is.
That's a 30 Arcana.
You're not sure what this is either.
33. What'd you roll?
You just lose time,
36.
basically. It sort of feels like.
That's crazy.
I got a 40 Arcana.
Yeah, you do. So not only do you, Jared, recognize this, but Fox, you just saw, and you kind of piece back together some of the way the arcane energies came in. What you just saw was the spell Time Stop,
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Whoa.
a 10th level transmutation spell.
Great.
Whatever happened, it's gone now.
Like
And
there's no sign of where it would have gone.
there's some magical energy hanging up in the air. You suspect it probably was like a dimension door.
Didn't like tunnel down into the earth.
No, it's cast away. You also can see that something happened, and the guillotine that was sort of failing to connect, much like I do when I fail to connect to a network, just explodes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
we defeated it.
Do we take any damage from that?
Nope.
Okay.
Val is going to look at everybody and be like, where is the magical worm?
I thought you knew.
I don't know. Where did it go?
What the fuck just
It
happened?
appears to have disappeared
How did that? What?
magically.
He's angry. Is anybody else still in here, or is everyone dead?
Some people died, but a lot of people made it out because Drosharis cut a path through the gate back into the city.
The
Are
real hero.
either of the hosts still visible, or any of the other Grey Gardeners?
They ran.
They're gone.
Drosharis did engage with a couple of them. Watson hit a couple of them with meteors individually, and they all scattered. As a matter of fact, you kind of got the impression that while most of you had a strong enough vitality to resist the death by doomed,
Yeah.
many of the Grey Gardeners were not strong enough, and if they'd stayed longer, they would have just died from being near that. For the sake of narrative, let's call that creature a Grey Death.
Is that actually what it's called?
Yeah, it is. A giant thing, an amalgamation of all the spirits. And this is one where I think, Val, you'd be able to put this together a little bit, that was an amalgamation of all the spirits captured in the guillotine over its existence of executions.
And didn't I get a bonus because I had like the homage to Camilla Dronach's mother, who ostensibly her soul was trapped in
Yeah,
there?
you did notice that for some reason when it attacked you, when that scarf was visible, or like the ribbon was visible, you had some bonuses on saves and ACs. Like some part of Dranok's consciousness was still in there. Potentially informed as to world events by the consciousness of the other souls that had been added to that collection over time.
I think Val would also look at all of you and be like, did you see the light trying to go to the room where we were before, where those runes are? Is there anything we can do, like an Arcana check or something, to see like what was happening when basically it seemed like the worm was trying to make it attached to something?
Yeah. What's your occultism bonus again? It's going to be a secret check.
26.
26.
I'd like to go back upstairs and make this.
You want to go
check.
back upstairs?
Drosharis does. Yeah, I want to go back upstairs and look at the mirrors.
The runes.
In the room. So you go back up there, you take some time. If you're okay taking like 10 or so minutes looking around.
Yeah, if we're going to take 10 minutes, I'm going to even just do the thing I have of like reconstructing a scene to see what happened.
Drosharis, what's your occultism bonus?
25.
Okay, so you start to piece together, Drosharis, looking at all of it, and it looks like some sort of like force overloaded Silent Lenore and exploded it. For what it's worth, this is also the first time that any of you have ever heard of in history that one of these final blades has been successfully destroyed. Ever.
Wow.
And remember, you all looked at the one that you found in the county fair analog. I forget what I was calling it. The Harvest
tent?
Festival or whatever.
Yeah,
There's
Harvest.
a circus tent there. And you found a final blade and you're like, okay, I'm going to destroy it. And all of your checks and research led you to believe that there might be some sort of ritual, or, maybe it's chuck it in a certain volcano, the fires from which it was forged, sort of stuff, but you couldn't just destroy it. Your read on this, Drosharis, is that some amount of like occult or psychic energy attempting to force it to do something overloaded it and destroyed it. And with that information, reconstructing the scene, Jane, Val kind of pieces together that this would have essentially begun the gray death that came out should have been a cascading thing that would have connected this to each and any other final blade and released at each and every one another one of those creatures you just fought.
So, and she would say they were all in population centers, so one of these could come out against as many people as possible. But I think we successfully disabled that from happening, at least. Hopefully this is the only gray death out rampaging around.
Oh, so mission accomplished. All right, let's all go home.
Okay.
I wonder if the other ones have been destroyed.
I don't know.
Oh, if we can destroy them.
Or maybe there's gray deaths out there all over the place right now.
Let's go to the circus.
Yes, perhaps we should try and visit another one or something along these lines.
I am also very injured.
So,
Yeah, I'm not doing
really? I'll say that.
What happened to you? Why didn't that affect you?
Well, you assholes have been calling me undead and making all these jokes. Well, finally it worked out.
No, you're just extremely negative.
I know this since you hear, but tis.
There's a joke for that. As you're walking down having this exchange, Jane, you start to hear a chirping coming out of your pocket. Like almost like something between like a bone rattle and a bird call.
It's Twitter.
Hold on, I have to check my Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably nothing. Keeps walking.
Cool.
No, I figure out the source of the noise.
Remember that charm that
Oh,
the
yeah.
Pharasman Crusader, the greater Nosy charm, sort of
Yes.
looked like one of the messenger psychopomp birds.
Right.
It's twittering at first. I don't know how to do a bone chitter, but that's what it sounds like. Not me, just whatever you'd imagine chittering bones to sound like. And you kind of then hear his voice coming through the charm to you.
She's
Sorry.
allergic to messages.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you mean his as in the psychopomps without an obnoxious, terrible voice, right?
I know.
That's who
I
we're
think
talking
it is
about?
Nelibet.
Oh, no.
Great.
Are you there?
No. Sticks it back in her pocket.
How do we do the hang up and ignore function?
New phone, who dis?
Val, it's Nelibet. Your ally in Pharasma.
Val, I believe something is making noise in your pocket.
She's like, ugh.
Answer the damn charm.
Oh, it's Nelibet.
She pulls the charm out, puts it on speaker, and is like,
Did you just put me on speaker?
the terrible man from before is contacting us.
Hi, Nilibet.
She's always like this.
Well, I just wanted to touch base with you. Everything started rumbling a minute ago, and then I walked back up here, and there's a lot of bodies.
Are you still here?
Wait, are you not? Are you
Wait.
here? I didn't see your bodies.
We're alive. We're all alive.
And like, if any of you look over the balcony, you'll just see that Nelibet is just standing in the middle of the ballroom, looking around at the devastation.
No, we're up here.
We're up here.
What are you doing?
You're in heaven, the great boneyard. Oh no, shit!
Nelibet!
Looks up.
He's not very intelligent.
Well, damn. Well, I just thought I'd say howdy.
I thought you were leaving.
Well, I was off to my next adventure, which in this case was actually trying to find a rare sack hill called the Tumblak that embodies the fear of being buried alive.
Oh.
And during the party, I did find like 2 entrances down into the crypts beneath this ancient monastery.
Oh, of course you did.
Where?
Let me guess. You going to tell us where they are and not go down there?
Well, I got what I was looking for.
Right.
I found this
Yes.
Right.
This
Oh, my
creature,
God.
a compressed mass of flailing limbs that passes through walls like a fish through water.
This place sucks.
So I
hang
took
up the
some
phone.
of it and now I'm back.
You're a very strange person.
Just
Thank you.
Hang up the phone and block him.
We're in person.
Look,
I'm legendary snake. No one heard that.
I just thought I'd pass along and let you know there's a basement down here, but looking around this devastation, even though the town has forgone Pharasma has not forgotten about this town. And I have work to do and people to help.
There's certainly a lot of death
And there are many more who might still join the great embrace of Pharasma, but it is not yet their time. There's much work to be done in town.
Did you see this giant worm?
I did feel something rumbling, and I just thought it was magic or like the bass drop from a big song.
A little of both, I think.
Did you see where it went? Are you trying to say that it's down in these crypts?
I don't know what you're talking about. But, I mean, for context, you did see the clock face burst out and something crawl up out of the wall and down into the room. So it came up from at least beneath where you are now.
From somewhere.
Yeah. But he essentially lets you know that, like, hey, I won't do it in character for you, Jane, out of care. He just kind of lets you know, like, hey, this attack is so horrible. Like, Litron needs his help. And in his mind, like, something undead having caused this much harm, he said he's already searched around the monastery, and he's going to go see, because he realizes that was probably a pretty big aura, and he's going to go see if there's anyone who's still alive, anyone he can help, anyone he can save, because however wild he is an extremely devout priest of Pharasma, and one of their big tenets is that, you know, death is important, death is natural, but especially death as caused by undeath or by forces of things that pervert death. It doesn't fit into sort of the flow of time or prophecy in that same way.
So he doesn't have any negative healing situations he could give me?
I mean, he could probably do a treat wounds. If you're pretty beat up, he could do that.
He probably sees that I am bleeding a lot.
Oh, I can
Yeah,
heal
I have a whole 30 points
easily.
missing. It's like, you know.
A whole
30 points.
Maybe we can limp back to somewhere and take a rest.
I don't think I'll be able to
Perhaps.
go on this level.
So he
the
does
crypts.
kind of pass along, and once again, I won't do this all in first person. He does pass along a few pieces of information. And talking with you, it does sound like, and this is me interpreting, I'm not trying to railroad the group, so please respond and let me know if it sounds right. It does sound like you of a group have some interest in checking out the crypts beneath the monastery based on where that worm came from. Do I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Despite our offhanded comments at him not helping us.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he'll let you know how he found his way down. He'll describe the entrance he found, and he'll let you know that there's a northern and southern stairs, and because he went through the southern stairs and encountered some weirdness, and so he said, look, the northern one, he just let you know the northern stairs might be more safe. He will also let you know that as he went down into the basement, he felt like a weird psychic pressure pushing on him the deeper he got into the crypts.
Oh boy.
And his final thing that he'll say is he's going to recommend, like, and I'm so sorry, Shane, it's dangerous down there, so if you have the chance, you look pretty beat up. Do what you can to help people, but help yourselves before you go down there. Whatever evils are buried beneath these once hallowed halls, you'll need every ounce of strength. And my fellow priest of Pharasma here, as he mentioned, sort of gestures at Val, who he's still convinced is a Pharasma worshiper.
She looks at you guys and she's like,
Oh, I didn't realize, Val. That's very impressive.
Very religious of you.
Also, don't you explicitly have a feat that allows you to, like, mask yourself as a different worshiper than you really are?
I do.
Extort the faithful, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway,
it's on here somewhere, but it's basically a feat that I had that came with my, like, red mantis background, and it was essentially where you can, like, disguise yourself as a member of a different faith. And I was like, when is this ever gonna matter? It does now.
Perfect.
So he'll just let you know it's going to be dangerous. Prepare it any way you can. And if you have any ability to help those, let them feel the grace of Pharasma. And as I have to go now. Any more time I spend, as much as it might help you, could hurt more, hundreds if not more, in a town like this. And he heads off into the community. Still sort of weirdly, you can see, like, we're in a fight, some of his costume of funeral shrouds have sort of torn off a little bit. So, what do all of you as a group want to do?
I don't want to leave the building without looking through it somewhere. Like the room.
The room that you're in right now?
Yeah, like whatever got dropped in the hustle or bustle or whatever was, like, left behind, and
Sure.
anything.
Also removing people's masks, like people who were here, just to, like, see who all was a Grey Gardener sort of thing.
I'm also going to pile up the non-Grey Gardener bodies.
Sure.
Yeah, do we see the guy that we were here to protect, Ortwald? Is he dead?
He made it out. You do. I think I remember. I looking through my notes. Either I noted that he made it out mechanically, or I noted that I told you all that he did. Drosharis cut a hole, and Ordfald went through it along with a whole bunch of other people in there.
Roughly, how many people do we see like dead in here? Is it a lot?
So I mean, the party was like a couple hundred, right? And in here, you're looking at maybe like 30, 35 dead.
Yikes.
Which is a lot, but far fewer than it would have been otherwise. And I should note that of those, maybe a third are people that you know were Grey Gardeners fighting you to keep people in here. So, Jason, Drosharis is like, you're taking the Grey Gardeners that you know are Grey Gardeners because they were fighting you and leaving their bodies be, but you're sort of bringing together the bodies from the other bodies that you don't know to be Grey Gardeners.
And we'll unmask the Grey Gardeners too. Like if they have a mask on, we'll pull it off as we walk by their body.
And you can, and like none of you are from town. They're just people. They just look like people. Some of them look like they've seen. When I say rough life, I mean like scars, some broken bones. Like they've fought people, and many people will attempt to fight back. Obviously, if someone's trying to kill them.
I think actually, if Val sees Drosharis doing that, she would come up and say, "Look, I thought I was here for the Grey Gardeners too, but I think our problems are much bigger than that now. It seemed like they were some sort of corruptive institution, but now I'm thinking they're more like a cult for whatever this thing in the crypts is."
I think you are right.
Cool. So
we should also check their weapons.
Yeah. Do they have anything cool?
And their money.
There's a plus.
Actually, let's loot these bitches.
So
plus 14 sword over here.
All the Grey Garters just have like +1, maybe a +2 striking, not even greater striking on most of them. No one has coin purses on them really. A couple here and there. I'll say looking around, I'm not gonna dole it all out in the currency you'd find it in, but you'll probably find like, let's call it about 70 gold worth of coin in different denominations between the bodies that are there, but you are just looting bodies. Not the Grey Gardeners do not have money on them, notably. This is on the other people who were there, or money that dropped out of pockets or purses that fell in the hustle and bustle of trying to escape the Grey Death.
Hero business is expensive.
So what's next for everyone? Val, what are you doing during all this? So Dro is sort of tending to the bodies.
I think Val is like, honestly, maybe just wandering around a little bit, trying to absorb everything and like take it all in. It was this has been one night and we've fought some things that almost killed us, and she was spoken to by a god that's not her god, but also kind of by her god. And I think, just like what she just said, that it's something that she thought she was kind of dealing with, like, okay, I got to go take out some people. But now it's like this whole gigantic, and also like what the creature said of like all of Galt will face the same death. I think she's really concerned that a bunch of those Grey Deaths are going to come out. And I think with these almost kind of like religious experiences she's been having, this is something that she's just like deeply unsettled by and uncomfortable about, and will finally just say, I think we need to go back to that other guillotine and see. We need to know if these things are just out there now.
Okay. What about Fox?
Yeah. Fox is ready to move on already from this area, so I think he would agree we need to check on the populace and see.
And what about Watson? What are you doing, Trent?
Watson is obviously shell-shocked as well. Kind of, this is a lot to have happened in one day. I think he realizes it's been a little while since he's sort of conversed with the spirits that he normally does every day. So I think he kind of wants to maybe saunter outside and sort of sit down on a rock and wait for the nature spirits around here to kind of make themselves known to him.
Now, is that a mechanical thing? Do you have an ability?
Yeah, so he has Consult the Spirits, which is nature, once per hour, because I think he's legendary. Mm-hmm. But it's recall knowledge over 10 minutes to question resident spirits about matters related to their nature.
So what question are you putting out into the nature verse?
I think what he wants to ask them, these spirits would have sort of seen and experienced everything that just happened in here with this giant worm bursting out from beneath wherever. I think he wants to ask them, like, how are you affected by this? Are you doing okay? Are you scared, little spirits?
Okay, so let's give me what's your bonus to nature? I'm gonna do a little secret check here.
Are you doing group therapy for Tortured Souls?
Yes.
Nice.
That is a 32.
Plus 32.
Yeah. He is legendary.
Okay, so you take some time and you talk with them while your teammates, your party members are in the monastery, and it takes you a while to connect with the spirits. Because I think when finally you find one that can talk to you, it's scared. I don't know how spirits communicate. Some part of me imagines that it's a combination of almost an empathetic exchange, like a conceptual connection more than a just direct conversation, maybe. Does that feel...
Yeah,
you feel
absolutely.
okay with that? So I think what comes across in this sort of sharing of experience between the two of you is fear. I mean, even before the worm came up, everything within 1,000 feet of the Grey Death was being sort of drawn, the life being sucked out of it. So even spirits probably were affected by that or felt it, even if it doesn't mean death for them. And so I think what's relayed to you is like that came, and the waters are, you can see it now. Dead fish are bobbing up to the edge of the water. Animals that didn't make it far enough away in time are dead on the ground.
Aww.
Birds' bodies where they hit and fell.
Oh no, my friends.
Oh.
My friends.
So sad.
And maybe this one you're talking to is a fresh enough spirit that it didn't know where it was. It couldn't figure out how to deal and leave. And so all it's coming through are these feelings and images. And then it talks about this pressure it feels rising up from beneath the ground. And then it can't remember why, but it's just like the pressure then disappeared. When it talks about a pressure, it isn't like, oh, like my back's sore and I got a massage. It's almost like an oppression, a pressure of like losing its sense of self, of not being able to think, of just feeling something else's will being pushed at it, and then it disappearing again.
And then Watson will just kind of convey back to it like,
Don't worry, my friend. Me and my compatriots here are going to do our best to restore this place to a normal order.
And you kind of feel this. It doesn't feel okay, but it feels better. And there's this empathy, this sort of empathetic connection of gratitude. Fear is still really present, but that element comes into the mixture there, and that spirit sort of leave you at that point. Is everyone kind of done up in the monastery? 10, 15
Yes.
minutes worth of work?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I think maybe what even shakes you, Watson, out of it is and keep in mind, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning right now. The moon's out, quite a bit of light. Maybe what shakes you out of it is your 3 compatriots sort of having come down the ramp to the monastery, and you'll just see Watson sitting near the river, his bare feet just...
I think there's actually tears coming out of his eyes, having just noticed because the spirits sort of conveyed like the dead fish, the dead birds. He's like, oh man, these are all my buddies.
Oh.
And he's just like, there's like, tears welling up in his eyes.
Sort of like from Star Wars, like the 1,000 voices crying out sort
Right.
of thing.
Hmm.
What's next for everyone?
Val would say to Watson, we have to go see if there's more of this elsewhere. It came from the guillotine.
Yes. Whatever is best.
To
So,
the
Go to the
Harvest Festival.
circus.
So yeah, you head to the Harvest Festival, and in the Harvest Festival looking for the circus. Of course, this late at night, there's not people out. So you don't know if the empty streets you're seeing is because they're dead, or they're just in their homes. You being stealthy, or you are just kind of walking through the night? I'm seeing some nodding heads for stealthy.
I think I'm flying above.
Okay, so you're...
Bird's eye
Watson
view.
is never stealthy.
That's fair. So Fox is, doing the Batman shtick up in the sky.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'll look like an old man. I'll walk with Watson.
Okay, the two of you together.
Val will stealth around.
Okay. So you work your way to the Harvest Festival. You find your way to the tent that you left it kind of shut down, I think, looking like, oh, it just wasn't open yet, the way they'd sort of been portraying it. And you work your way in. You were the ones who locked it up, so it's no problem to get back in. You go into the high top, and you see the shape of the guillotine underneath the big cloth that was on top of it, and you lift it up. It's still there and in one piece, and you don't find any of the sort of energy or magical remnants of anything coming out of it. And
We don't see any dead bodies laying around.
no dead bodies laying around, and with a couple minutes of occultism checks, you can sense the souls still inside of it, but you can feel that. And I don't know if does that feel different to you now, knowing, like before you could kind of feel the energy of, the dread, the weight, the sorrow of all those souls trapped in there. But how does it feel now to know what those are, essentially what they're becoming?
Like a potential gray death is inside of this thing, sort of.
It feels like a powder keg now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that there's one at the center of every population area in the whole country.
I think Val would just look at you guys and be like, we have to kill that worm.
Yeah.
It's what did that. It's what turned this into whatever it was that we just had to fight.
Trasharis is being oddly quiet, but like tremendously more, like he seems to be studying things a little bit more, kind of going back over now that we're back in the tent, what we know, thinking about the occultism things that I know, and like, is there a way to connect this? Basically re-looking at the clues now that we've seen the big monster coming out. If something happens, that's fine.
I mean, it's a chance to kind of go back over a lot of the information that you've had, which is that there was obviously some network. I think we talked about how those sort of mirrors and sigils that you'd messed with in the room above the party had connected to the network of all that. Jane's given a look.
Sigil?
Sigil?
It's sigil.
Is it a sigil? Well, there you go. Like obviously there was a network there, and that was sort of an activator. What you suspect from an occultism level is there's probably other ways to do it. It might be more laborious.
I guess what I was wondering about is how it was. We knew from looking up there, there's some kind of psychic ability. So what I'm wondering is what type of, and maybe this is part warfare lore too, warfare war. What type of creature, what type of wizard, what type of sorcerer can activate this type of thing? Have I heard of something like this before?
You're going to guess it's probably a ritual of some kind. And as you know, like rituals can incorporate a lot of elements that aren't even intrinsically a type of magic, one type of magic or another. But obviously, there's going to be some occult and some arcana. It's what you've seen in the sigil already upstairs. So probably some elements of the science of arcane magic and the like aesthetic connections of occult, like fetishism and magic and stuff like that.
Do you say any of this out loud? Or are you
Not
just
yet.
thinking it?
I'm thinking it.
So it's about two...
Because I don't feel like I'm really learning anything like groundbreaking.
But I got the impression that if we leave this here, it would take a lot of effort for it to be activated the way in order to bring out the Grey Death. So it's not inherently dangerous for us to walk away today.
So I feel like the Grey Death is clearly all these souls that are trapped and is like people are being sacrificed to fuel these things to become Grey Deaths, basically. But then the Grey Death just kills everything around it within a couple rounds. And that is somehow something that's desirable to this giant worm creature. And the Grey Gardeners are basically using these as a method of sacrifice to somehow like power the worm by using the Grey Death.
Is the worm a Sakiel?
You don't know.
She said it was the Conqueror worm when she revealed it, like at the party.
Or it could have just been a poem she liked.
Casual poem.
Casual
NBD.
poem about a worm killing everyone.
Tell you what.
Can
Jane,
I do something
you
like
do that occultism check?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I do an occultism on that or on the poem or
You can do it on the worm. It's still gonna be really difficult.
okay.
It's gonna be a secret check.
Okay.
And what's that bonus?
26.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say is with 26, you're gonna roll on this. We're doing the best here.
Can I just give you my dice that I roll? Show it to you.
Yeah, you want to see it? Yeah, show me the dice. Sorry.
This is
Yes.
16.
You rolled a 16.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So both, I'll let it ride.
Can that be an aid?
Sweet.
Mercy.
Actually, does one of you want to aid the other? That we can do. Who wants to take? Now it's almost 2:30 in the morning, and you're all staying up. Not that that's thematically inappropriate, I do feel like some group checks on trying to figure out more about this.
I mean, I can aid too. Can you double aid someone?
I'm going to allow a few of you to aid.
Okay.
We'll see. So who wants to aid on this and who wants to take lead on trying to figure out more about this creature?
I'll aid.
All right. I'll let you. Aids are public. Go ahead and roll. And I'm gonna increase
I'll do
the
aid
DC.
since I rolled mine public.
Okay. I'm gonna increase the DC on the aid. I'm gonna say the aid DC is 25 instead of, 15 normally, 20 in the second edition? I can never remember what the aid DC is.
I got a 25.
Okay, so that's what's your training in occultism?
Trained.
So it'll be a +1.
+1.
Jason, what's your total?
I'm a master in occult. I got a 41.
41. So that is a crit success, which I think on a master is +3.
Cool.
So Jane, you're getting a +4. So your total is +30.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Jane, would you like to roll this?
No.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't want that
now it's
on me.
Confirmed. You're afraid of your own dice rolls.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you don't know. So hear me out. You don't know what this is. Like, you don't know if this guy's name is Jeff, right? You don't know what powers it has, but what you're able to sort of piece together is that you think, and it might be multiple things, but you think on the list of what it is an aberration. And
Okay.
do any of our deep nerds want to talk about what an aberration is? Like, even sort of off the cuff a little?
Everyone's looking at Trent.
That's far too off the charts for me. I'm not going to lie.
I was looking at Jason.
Isn't an aberration like something
It's like
that's
otherworldly,
Yeah, it's
right?
summoned, like an
extra
otherworldly
planar.
thing that's like summoned or called upon or...
It's almost like alien, right?
A little bit. You know what?
I guess the
Wait,
thing
wait. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the thing that I'm concerned about is that it seems like the Grey Gardeners are worshiping the worm. But why does the worm want the Grey Death? Like, can it do more if the Grey Death is killing more people? Can it, get more powerful?
Yes,
So
probably.
that you don't know. On the note of aberrations, though, what I will say is... And that's not necessarily a rule, but canonically in Galarian, it said that aberrations are creatures from beyond the planes or corruptions of natural order. So there's the known planes of existence, and then there are some things that come from beyond the normal planes of existence. There are Hounds of Tyndalos, I think are aberrations.
Cthulian mythos type stuff.
It's that sort of background.
Those hounds, is that the thing that was in that stupid impossible thing that had to be next to the wall or whatever?
Yeah, that's the Hounds.
The
of
round
Tyndalos.
wall.
Such a hard monster in that other AP.
But there's plenty of other things that are a lot more classic, D20 fantasy that are aberrations. Like doppelgangers are usually aberrations, things like that. They're odd, weird creatures, either twists of nature or perhaps something.
Weren't some of the things that we fought early in this, like the mask and... do you remember that? The sentient mask and the thing that was bursting at the seams? Those were aberrations too, right?
Yeah, I think they were.
No, so the mask, you'd actually be able to connect some dots now. Those masks are a form of Sacules.
Oh.
Little
Gross.
fear demons, basically.
Interesting.
The people, and you do remember you did some work on this that felt weird. You know that they had some connection to undeath, but not what it was. That they were sort of undead adjacent, but not undead.
The Gardeners are a cult.
I mean, that certainly seems like an assertion that you're making.
I think we should definitely wrap up and go to sleep.
Good to rest.
I think Val is staggering around at this point, just completely exhausted. I mean, I got drained by that thing too.
Yeah,
That's right.
Same.
Yeah.
You all got drained 1, right? It just stopped at 1, I believe, mechanically. Because I'll have to double check, but I think...
Yeah,
It's
drained
doomed.
1, yeah.
Yeah, doomed and drained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. You were doomed 1. I have no idea what your drain value is. You may be way higher than 1. Because you only recover 1 point of drain
My
per
drain
full
was
night.
1.
Okay.
Yeah, I
same.
haven't erased it yet.
Perfect. Because you get 1 drain recovered per full night's rest. So you're all going back. I think you were all staying now at the Stalwart Patriot because you were no longer staying at
Yeah, I got trashed.
Soul Mama.
I
Soul Mother's
think I'm
Herbs.
going to go back to my safe house because that wasn't necessarily discovered.
Correct. Yeah, you do have a weird safe house in the
So
basement
I'm going to
of
go
Soul
back to my
Mother's.
safe house today.
And if nothing
Tonight.
else, you'll do know that Pharasma does seem to be a deity in play here. And you'll remember that Kenzin is a devout Pharasman who kind of is keeping that under wraps because for some reason, all churches had been shut down, or basically all religions have been run out of town here.
Okay.
And the last one, and you do recall a little bit of this, that the Church of Pharasma was the last church left operating some 45, 50 years ago when the rest were shut down. It stayed on longer than the rest.
Right. Yeah, I think Val wants to go to sleep and like be alone, so she might go to just like her own room at the Stalwart Patriot, or break into an empty room or something like that to just try, or at least if we're all staying in the same place, like just kind of go and like meditate for a little bit, because I mean, like I said, it's been a crazy day, and like a lot of it seems like there's some sort of like just beneath the surface kind of religious workings going on that she can't quite put her finger on yet.
Okay.
How about this? Stay in the safe house. I'll keep watch. Whenever you've rested, we'll swap.
All right.
So the two who are at each other's throats fighting.
Actually,
at the end of
I kind of don't
1,
think Val would do that. I think she thinks that you might kill her in her sleep.
I won't.
Be like, I'll stay on my own. And she's going to try to just break into an empty room.
So edgy.
I'll see you all in the morning.
So many pixels.
It's not a phase, Watson.
We have 2 Batmans.
Just being nice.
We have 3 Batman.
Yeah, I was going to say, he has bat wings.
3 Batmans and a butler.
Oh my God, you're Alfred.
I love it.
I will say, this is a side note, but it just makes me think about how one of my favorite Batman films of all time is the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
Of course.
Which is
the best one.
It really is one of the best. I don't know that it's the best, but it is one of the best depictions of a true to canon Batman in some ways. It's exploring the much more humorous parts, but it does get a lot about Batman right for it being a comedy, and it's oddly very touching and fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Jillionaire. Love that song at the beginning.
Yeah, it's great. All right, so you're breaking off into that, and you know what? Let's do a little bit of extemporaneous role playing here. What do you?
What's extemporaneous mean?
Sort of like on the spot, not prepared. Speaking off the cuff.
Breaking that word down.
Isn't
that
that literally what we're doing all the time?
I feel like we're always doing that.
Well, when I say like hard role playing, is I'm gonna hand it off to each of you, because I think this is the first time that you've had a lot more knowledge about the stakes. And Jane, you kind of just set this up. Give us a couple beats on Val breaks in. What happens? Walk us through that night for Val. Just paint that little picture for us.
Well, I think that she is I think she'll just kind of clean herself up and is being very quiet and very, like, outwardly probably seems creepy, almost angry, just very silent, and is just kind of thinking, like I said, about all of these things about, Pharasma speaking to her and her god, a Chekek, and kind of going through all of that, laying out the sawtooth saber that she has, and kind of setting it down. And then I think if it's not like too much of a stretch, at some point she probably would either find Watson or Watson would find her and kind of heal up some. She has taken a ton of damage, and so she's going to need some patching up. And I think that that's something that she would kind of begrudgingly and kind of quietly accept from Watson, but probably not from anybody else.
I think there's probably time in the morning to handle mechanical healing, so let this be an evening of role playing. I will say, you said you lay out your sawtooth saber, which is the favored weapon of the god of Chekek. Do you lay out any of your other weapons?
Yeah, I think that she would probably set like the gun and the dagger down, and then are we going to the morning, or is this just the night?
Just take us through the night. Don't wake up yet. Take us into the night.
Yeah, I think she would just lay all of that stuff out, and I think she would clean it very meticulously and, kind of go through all of these different motions of preparing her stuff for the next day, and just have a lot of being very determined, and then get into bed and go to sleep.
How does she sleep?
This is so suspicious.
No, I want to know, like, this is a character moment.
I feel like this is like a, like which hand do you open the door with? Because it's about to get chopped off.
I'm just interested how your character is
with one eye open.
That's it. Is she comfortable? Has she been through so much that this doesn't feel weird to her? Does this feel weird?
No, it definitely feels weird. I think that like she has been through a lot of fights and battles, and this seems different somehow. So I think that she probably has a hard time falling asleep, but I think she doesn't sleep until she's literally just too exhausted and drained to even like fight it. Like she just passes out rather than like tucking herself in and going to sleep. It's kind of more so like she's just doing things until she almost just collapses from blood loss and drain and exhaustion and all of that. So then she just lays in bed and kind of collapses down and goes to sleep.
I'll say on the sort of scenes of you cleaning your weapons, it's also worth noting that the sacred weapon of Pharasma is a dagger.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she would like notice that and think about it and meditate. All right.
Kind of cuts over. Jason, direct us a little Drosharis scene. What's he doing this evening?
So I imagine we're all kind of walking together, and then he splits off, goes towards Soul Mother's herbs, kind of looks around, makes sure that there's nothing suspicious going on, goes inside. When he goes inside into his safe house, he pulls out his dagger and like puts it around the edge of a brick and then pulls the brick out of that wall. And then he pulls out this little tiny scroll, unrolls it, and starts writing on it. Puts it back, puts the brick back, and then leaves the building. He goes around the back of the Soul Mama's herbs.
Mm-hmm.
There's another brick at the base of the building that he pulls out, places that note inside, puts the brick back, goes back into Soul Mama's, and goes down to sleep.
All right. Fox.
Fox is hurt and exhausted, but he's got a room at the Stalwart Patriot, so he's going to go there by himself. I think as soon as we he flew over top of where the guillotine was, he probably just banked off and headed to his room, where he sits down. He pulls out a journal and he begins writing a note. And the note it's a warning, and it's a call for help. And it's, this area has been destabilized. Galt's in peril. And if we could get aid, or if the Eagle Knights can send aid, then we can hopefully help the populace. And then he passes out, probably on the desk as he finishes writing, and just... I think he's thinking about the Sakiels, and I think he's thinking about controlling his emotions and his fear, because I think he is afraid. I don't know if he's afraid for himself as much as he is for the general population and what could happen to them. But I think he's still, anytime some of that wells up, I think he's really trying to push it out.
Okay. Trent, walk us through Watson's evening.
So Watson returns to Soul Mama's herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Makes himself a nice little concoction to have tea before bed.
Remember, you're walking in, windows are shattered, furniture's destroyed.
He's not even fazed by it, I think, at this point. He leaves even on the counter, just enough copper for what he's taking from around, to make his tea. And I think he's exhausted, and he's tired, and he's bewildered. And he lays down to sleep. And as he's laying there, he kind of remembers that he's let the entity that makes up half of him at this point kind of manifest a lot in the past 24 hours. And I think he begins to have a conversation with that entity again. And he's like,
yeah, you have helped quite a bit lately, and I admit that I can't say no to it anymore. If there's anything that you require of me at this point, I don't have much time left, so now would be it.
And I think out of just silence, you just hear a rumbling. I think it's not quite words yet. You just feel it stirring. It's wounded too. And if it's a presence in your head, and something of psychic force is pushing back on you, I think for the first time, it just felt something pushing on its perch in your head.
And in fact, in that moment, Watson gets this feeling that it is in fact looking at the world from behind his own eyes. He can feel it watching what Watson is experiencing.
That is so spooky.
And he lays down to sleep. And while he's sleeping, he is having horrible nightmares and strange, otherworldly nightmares, dreams. And he, like almost unconsciously, I think he knows that these are being guided by the entity.
And I think because you talked on it, that it's a draconic entity, right?
It is.
And so I think maybe some of these are images, memories of its life. You don't know if he's a reliable, if he, she, they are a reliable narrator, but you just remember seeing like armies falling before, people kneeling, like these sort of visions of the power that creature once had centuries ago.
If he's in Soul Mamas, can I roll a perception to see if I hear him?
Yeah, 100%.
Having these nightmares?
Yeah.
Are you having these? Are you saying anything out loud? Nothing. Fuck it.
Doesn't matter. You rolled 3 natural ones.
I just was really hoping that you would, and then you'd go up there and just hold Watson while he had nightmares. You're like, it's
Sorry,
okay.
old friend.
I'm going to say
Here's a
that
cold compress.
the other night, my wife actually, like in the middle of the night, just goes, "No!" I'm just like scared the shit out of me. That's probably what Watson is doing at this moment.
So you're hearing that a little bit here and there. It's a night of fitful sleep. Sounds like Val almost just, fell
I
asleep.
think she falls asleep, and it's like darkness. No dreams, no nightmares, nothing. Completely black. And then if anything, when she wakes up, the only thing she can kind of remember is like the circle turning into a spiral that she saw as she was dying.
And if you remember it was like a clicking, and it was almost insects forming that spiral. I'll say, that's fair. You remember 2 things. You remember that spiral, and you remember what it was like to be 17th level, because now you're 18th level.
Yeah.
Tune in next time to hear about the level up.
Whoa.
The Live to Die podcast is a production of Live to Die Gaming. Follow us on social media at Live to Die Pod. Leave a review and tune in next week for more. If you like the amazing background audio and music, all that credit goes to Syrinscape. Make sure you check them out at Syrinscape.com.